Today we're seeing a lot of the top high school basketball talent joining the G League if they have aspirations of going into the NBA. If you don't know, the G League is basically the NBA's minor league, where players, coaching staff, they go there to get accustomed and like develop so they can one day get into the NBA. And the G League, they recently announced this new pathway program that they're implementing, and it's going to be available for elite high school talent who have aspirations of going into the NBA. And basically what it's doing is, instead of like the top high school talent in the States going to play in the NCAA, they can go straight into the G League and they don't have to wait a year or anything. So the first high school player in the States that's going to be going through this pathway program by the G League is a player by the name of Jalen Greene. So basically Jalen Greene, he comes out of San Joaquin Memorial High School in Fresno, California, and he was named by Sports Illustrated as the All-American Player of the Year, right? And he's a contender to be the #1 overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft, okay? So basically, as part of this new program by the G League, Greene is going to earn around $500,000 in wages, incentives, sponsorship opportunities, and he's going to have other benefits through his contract, including one-on-one coaching, a full college scholarship, mind you, and professional skills training. And Sports Illustrated's Jeremy Wu, he says that Greene and other top recruits who join him are expected to play in an academy type format. And this is going to mean the creation of a new team, and they're going to play in a distinct travel heavy schedule. And what this team is going to do, it's going to allow elite talents to join forces. All right. So this whole move, this Greene deciding to sign with the G League, it's very significant because it's showing that the NCAA's like kind of control over athletes getting into like the NBA, it's starting to wane. In fact, the NBA actually sees the G League as better than the NCAA for preparing athletes to play elite level basketball. And this is even despite the fact that the G League costs the NBA, money, right? And it costs the owners money too as well, because mind you, every team has a G League affiliate. So keep that in mind. For the Raptors, that's the 905 Raptors, as we know. We've seen similar cases to the Greene case in the past few years, as several top recruits have decided to play overseas in professional leagues instead of committing to a college for just a year. So some of the people that come to mind would be RJ Hampton, LaMelo Ball. They decided to go and play in the Australian Professional League, and they're projected to be top 5 picks in the 2020 NBA draft. And even Emmanuel Mudiay of the Utah Jazz and former NBA player Brandon Jennings, they made similar choices because before they joined the league, they played in China and Italy respectively. Even 2019 first-round pick Darius Bazley, he also skipped college in favor of signing an internship contract with New Balance worth $14 million. And the players I just mentioned, they can earn 6 figures playing ball and can also hire agents and sign lucrative endorsement deals. That's going to bring in more income, right? However, under the current NCAA rules, players aren't allowed to have, they're not allowed to have endorsement opportunities or even a wage. Now, Article X of the collective bargaining agreement between the NBA and their Players Association, it requires that draft eligible U.S. players, they have to be 19 years of age and be at least 1 year removed from high school. And the good thing about the G League is that it allows players to join their league straight out of high school. So top recruits have usually skipped out on going to the G League because they see skipping college as being risky. And this is because college, it's a big platform, right? They get to play on nationally televised games, well, depending on what school you go to. And there's that whole predominant thought that they still need to get an education, but I'm going to talk about why that's not really, doesn't carry as much weight a bit later. Also, to deal with this kind of issue of players not wanting to go to the G League because of the platform not seeming as big as like NCAA basketball, the G League implemented select contracts, right? And what this does, is tailored for players who are out of high school, and these contracts are worth $125,000, and they're gonna pay this money to the players over a span of 5 months. So that's $125,000 over a span of 5 months. Not bad when you consider that NCAA doesn't pay their players like anything. And these contracts are also going to offer players with higher quality healthcare benefits and access to financial literacy instruction, post-care planning, and other practical basic business lessons. And I think this is an awesome move by the G League, because for far too long the NCAA has just made like billions of dollars off the backs of these players, and they haven't been compensated, right? Like, even because of the NCAA's greed, EA, the video game creator, right? They stopped making college sports games. And basically what happened is that EA, they wanted to pay for the rights to use the likeness use the identities of the athletes, right? And they wanted a license to publish everything about the players and their identities in college basketball. And mind you, EA, they were ready to pay the NCAA, the players, past players, or even a combination of them just to get that right. And if EA was actually allowed by the NCAA to pay players, there would still be college sports games, right? And I think there's something truly wrong with a system that allows like coaches like Coach K or John Calipari to make millions of dollars, and meanwhile players, they can't even sign people's autographs and sell them or whatever. Yeah, it's just exploitation. That's really what it is. And now obviously schools, they reimburse players for their tuition, room, board, books, and all those education related costs, right? But this is not enough when you realize that schools gain a lot when their teams are winning, right? Because when their teams are winning, they can then use that whole image to recruit future high school players. They can use the fact that their teams are doing successful to try to persuade their former alma mater, to donate back into schools. Oh, look, man, our team is crushing it, man. It makes sense for you to donate back to our schools because we're doing so well or whatever. So, like, these players, they're the bread and butter of how these schools make their money. So, the fact that they're not even allowed to profit off of their hard work, it's immoral to me. Mind you, some schools don't even cover their players' medical bills, and that's even more troubling when you consider that America doesn't have a single payer healthcare system, right? Like, for example, former Oklahoma basketball player Kyle Hardick, he had a career that was shortened because of knee injuries. His family had to pay $10,000 out of their own expenses because their insurance didn't cover all of those costs, and Oklahoma didn't pay for his surgery either. Now, this stat that I'm going to show you is from 2013, but what it says is that 86% of college athletes live below the poverty line. So you can imagine how difficult it is for them to pay for surgeries and just to do routine checkups that we take for granted, like in places like Canada and stuff like that, you know? And that whole argument about players missing out on education by not committing to college and all that, like, I don't really think it carries that much weight, at least anymore, because of course we have some athletes that they care about getting an education, like Shaq, Damian Lillard, Jeremy Lin, to name a few, but do you really think guys like John Wall or Zion are trying to get an education in some random liberal arts program? Of course not. They're just there to ball, party, and get out of there a year after. Like, so that whole education argument, I think it just falls on its face, to be honest. And let's face it, you can make the argument that an undergrad degree in today's world is basically a glorified high school diploma, but that's just me. Another good point that I saw in Sports Illustrated was that they said that how COVID-19, right, it could threaten fall NCAA sports because schools might still keep their students off campus, right? And the pandemic could also make students shy or reject the option of playing professionally, like in Europe, Asia, or places like that, right? So by signing with the G League, players like Greene, right, they can stay at home, and if the pandemic starts to level off in the fall, Lord willing, then they can start playing professionally in the fall. So I think it's just a win-win situation. And as we know, this pandemic, it's really made many people, especially in America, it's made them even poorer than they were prior to when this started. So I think that this whole situation it might make more players who have aspirations of playing in the NBA. It might make them realize that, you know what, the NCAA is not some gatekeeper anymore, right? At least anymore, right? And this might make them realize that they can make decisions that are going to allow them to make money off of the hard work that they're putting in, while still having a chance to get into the NBA. Now, obviously, it's not guaranteed that because you go to the G League program that you're for sure going to get into the NBA, because it's very competitive, as we know, right? But there's still that chance, and they have a little bit more control over their destiny. But that can't be said if they do commit to a school. Anyways, that's all I got to say about that for today. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Stay safe and have a good day.